The first sound Elias heard was laughter echoing across the ruins. Not cruel laughter, but confused, trembling, almost gentle. And when he opened his eyes through blood and ash, he saw the alien standing over him, tall and pale beneath the broken sky, staring at the relic fused to his body and asking in a quiet, shaken voice, "Human, what is this hard thing hanging between your legs? Can I touch it?" And in that moment, Elias understood that this was how his life would end. Not as a hero, not as a soldier, but as a strange joke whispered between dying worlds, because he had always been a mistake in the eyes of others. Born weak, lungs scarred by sickness, spine bent by years of labor, a man chosen last and discarded first. And when Earth joined the Interstellar Alliance, only to be betrayed by it, Elias was already forgotten, assigned to maintain old power lines beneath the Capitol dome, while generals spoke of glory above. And when the alien fleets arrived in fire and shadow, the evacuation ships left without him, alarms screaming as corridors collapsed, leaving him trapped underground until the relic awakened in his flesh. A forbidden experiment meant to save humanity, but abandoned when it bonded only with those who were dying. And Elias survived, not because he was strong, but because he refused to let go, dragging himself through rubble while soldiers ran past him, eyes averted. And now he lay broken on frozen ground, legs torn, body shaking, the relic hardened around his hips and spine like living metal, pulsing and shifting to keep him alive, misunderstood by the alien who saw it not as a shield but as something obscene, something dangerous, something human. And she was part of the hunting force sent to cleanse the plains of survivors, taught that humans were parasites who used tools to fake strength. Yet she hesitated as she looked down at him, because his eyes were not filled with hate, but exhaustion and quiet sorrow. And when her commander's voice crackled through her mind ordering execution, she did not move, because Elias whispered that he was tired of running and dying alone. And the words struck her harder than any weapon, because her people believed weakness was shame, and weakness must be erased. And here was a human who carried his weakness openly and still breathed, still felt, still cared. And when a human sniper fired from the hills, missing Elias and tearing through the alien's shoulder, the battlefield exploded into chaos as both sides unleashed fire, and Elias felt the relic surge in pain and fear, reacting not to threat, but to choice, unfolding plates of dark light that curved outward, not to kill but to protect. And soldiers froze as shots bent away, energy dissolving into silence. And Elias screamed as memories poured into him, not his own, but visions of the relic's origin, of ancient humans who learned too late that survival without compassion led only to endless war, of a final vow to create something that would bond only with those who had known rejection and still chose mercy. And Elias realized why it had chosen him, why it hardened when he tried to stand, why it reacted when the alien touched him, because it was not a weapon born of dominance, but a promise born of pain. And the alien knelt beside him, despite her wound, hands shaking as she placed her palm against the living metal. And for the first time her mind opened to his, feeling his loneliness, his memories of being left behind, of fixing machines while others celebrated, of loving a world that never loved him back. And she wept because her people had taught her humans were empty, yet here was a soul, overflowing with quiet hope. And when her commander arrived and ordered her execution for treason, she stood between him and Elias, lowering her weapon, choosing exile or death over obedience. And that betrayal ignited the final phase of the relic, not as destruction, but revelation, sending a wave of light across the field that forced every being to feel the truth of the other. Soldiers dropping to their knees as pain, fear, love, and regret intertwined. And Elias felt his heart falter under the strain, blood filling his lungs as the relic burned through him, demanding more than his broken body could give. And in that near-death moment he accepted it, not as sacrifice for victory, but as release, whispering that he was glad he was finally seen, and the alien held him, pressing her forehead to his, sharing warmth, sharing life, and the relics stabilized, drawing strength from their bond, because it was never meant to stand alone. And when the light faded, the war had ended, not with surrender, but with understanding. Weapons lying abandoned in the snow, humans and aliens staring at each other, not as enemies, but as survivors of lies. And Elias lived, though changed forever. His body scarred, his name whispered across worlds as the broken man who became a bridge. And long after the ruins were rebuilt and treaties signed, children would hear the story of how the war paused because an alien asked a human a strange question, and learned that the hardest thing humans carry is not metal or power, but the courage to remain human when everything tries to strip it away. And that hope is born not from strength alone, but from the willingness to touch what we do not understand and choose compassion over fear.